Internship, I walked in with this buzzing excitement, the kind you get when you know you're about to do something that actually matters to you. I was thrilled to work with real engineers at a company I genuinely admired, but I didn't expect the thing that would shape me the most. The feeling of being listened to, really listened to. The kind of listening that makes you feel like you matter. One of the first times I felt that was when my boss, H, read through a long safety write-up I'd done after an inspection. I was nervous, expecting the pushback or corrections because I knew I was flagging things to be different. The way things had always been done didn't seem safe. And instead, he had zero reservations. He trusted my judgment. And that moment set the tone for the rest of my internship. I learned I could trust him with my ideas. If I had to summarize, the biggest thing that this experience gave me, though, it would be the reminder to verify everything with my own eyes, to second guess everything, to prove why you designed something the way you did with details and math, etc., and to slow down. My instinct is still to rush, to try and be efficient, to get everything done. But no, I'm trying to remember and I'm learning I need to slow down. Most of my days here have been spent researching and working through the project process. I had a lot of variety in my projects, but the core of my work was just designing floor systems with I-joists. A typical day, I'd start around 7, come in, adjust joists, run a couple calcs, and I'd write out the next steps I wanted to do before coming in the next day. Again, trying to stay efficient and be on track. And as my internship went on, my responsibilities grew in ways I couldn't predict. I came up with suggestions of things that I could do, or people would bring up tasks that they had been too busy to complete. And as the intern, I feel like my schedule was the most free. So I'd be like, oh, I can do that, or I could pick up on that. And it started actually with the challenge. We have 2 different kinds of fire extinguishers in the office, and I was challenged to teach everyone how to tell the difference between the two. So I did my research and made a flyer. And some other topics, like some other tasks I got to do, I'm currently working on how to automate safety reports. So it's less manual. I'm trying to work with Power BI and Microsoft Power Apps on that. That's been fun. We didn't know what to talk about when we had a training meeting, so I made a Jeopardy game for all of us to play, and that was super fun. And another one of my favorites was designing acoustic ceiling panels. We just had a bunch of them lying around, and my boss was like, "Yeah, you can pick the design here." Although he did something that I really enjoyed. He realized how much I love cooking, and he let me plan a Halloween party. So I came up with a menu that had a surprising amount of eyeballs involved, sent it to him, and he was like, meh, I don't care, we can get what you like. So he took me to the store and let me just fill the cart and use my work time and work funds to throw a Halloween party for the office. And another moment that will stick with me forever was when, on that safety inspection, I mentioned at the very beginning I was with a detail-oriented man named M. And before we even started walking around, he sat down with me for 20 minutes to get to know me. I mentioned my interests and my background in computer science, animation, web design, and he was so excited to hear that. He also speaks Spanish, so he spent time just to get to know me, and he was like, and he encouraged me to develop my animation hobby. And that was in the back of my head. And one of my coworkers ended up leaving for a greener pasture. And we've stayed in contact because he also wants to learn Blender and animate with Blender. So I've been following that advice, and that was really cool. And I think if I had to pick a favorite project, though, it would be the acoustic ceiling layout. I felt like I got to play interior designer, and I love it because I felt 100% confident that I would be able to do it well. I knew all of the steps I needed to take, and I'd be able to see a project through from beginning to end. And so I felt genuinely proud. And I was like, yeah, I can do this. I could really do this. On the flip side of that, I've had a really hard time remembering how to do load calculations. Or the weight, how much something weighs and where it's being distributed in the building. I absolutely loved the statics class. It made so much sense, but I'm not confident in my math unless I'm answering step-by-step instructions from someone else. But I'm working on it. I'm asking for clarification or asking to be retaught has been the biggest help so far, but I'm trying to do better at focusing on understanding instead of just trying to be efficient and get it done. One of the one of the biggest things I learned is also the importance of taking time to listen. I realized that my boat, I'm in a lucky boat right now where 10 people don't need me, and I don't need to just do efficiency. I have time to stop and listen when a conversation is happening and learn from them. And I've seen that it is helping the team grow together. They need to feel listened to, and that's something I can contribute to my corner of the company. So that's been really cool. To just take some time to listen to build unity here. And lately I'm also proud of the fact that I've gotten better with SharePoint. And I feel like I learned the project process at RedBuilt enough that I am getting faster and more accurate because it's making more sense to me. I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna want web stiffeners here or this kind of hanger when you're trying. Like the reasons behind things I think make more sense. So I'm happy about that. And long story short, feeling like I'm listened to and supported in my ideas and my suggestions has really changed me. It's really touched me. It made me feel marketable, surprisingly, in ways that I didn't expect. I realized I'm not just an engineering intern, I'm someone who I can use my graphic design skills, I can use my teaching skills, web design, coding, my Spanish, and use all of that when trying to solve a problem. And it has affirmed what part of the field I want to work in. Although I have loved working with the math of the project, any chance to be creative has still brought me the most joy. And the next step I want to take is architecture school. So I think that I'll continue to find joy there. And that's been nice to feel. And also slowing down. I am in such a fast-paced life that I feel like I don't have time for anything instead of slowing down and being careful, because I do have time for important things, like listening to people. So I'm catching myself like every day trying to fight that flaw. But if that's a change that works in me, then I think I'll become a lot more accurate and methodical. If I could thank one person, it would be my main supervisor, H, for trusting me, for listening to me and giving me room to grow. But if there's one message I'd want anyone to walk away with, it's that being listened to can change everything and the way you see yourself. Thank you for listening. I've loved my internship here.